What's up guys, ZRUS here, and you're looking at my new project. Christmas has come early for this zombie. This is the Mosin nagant Type 53, and if any of you guys know the Mosin Type 53s, this is in actually decent condition for how they usually come. So that's why I'm going to be doing this one as a project. I'm going to try to redo this wood. I want to actually keep some of the rough look to it, but I also want to just kind of seal it in and make it look and feel nice. So we're going to try to go for that vintage look still, and that battle hardened finish, but keeping it nicely still. And we'll see how that turns out. But what we're going to do is we're going to stain it with Minwax product, and this is the antique walnut satin that we'll be using. And I got the varnish remover in the background to get all this old junk off. Mineral spirits to wash that off and to get rid of the cosmoline that's on there now. I got sandpaper, I got 220 and 150. I got some wood filler, and I'll show you why I need that here in just a second. Steel wool and coffee. But for the wood filler, I think the the worst part of this wood stock is just this right here. And some of you might be looking at that saying, good God, you know, what the hell did you buy? But other yous that know what the Type 53 are about, that's to be expected. I've seen some Type 53s that are just missing a big old chunk back here and just have just straight metal sticking out. So yeah, the Type 53s can be a nice little project to have. But you know what? Whenever you get done with this kind of a project and you see what you've made, what it used to be, it can be really rewarding. So. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to keep that battle-hardened look on this rifle. I'm going to try to keep some of the markings. I'm going to try to keep some of that stuff. We're just going to seal it in and make it feel nice and smooth and clean. So we'll go ahead and begin with disassembling this, and I'll be updating as I go along with these videos. So here we go. I'm actually going to be taking this one down pretty far, so we'll start with the typical disassembly of this. And for those of you that are not familiar with disassembly of the Mosin nagant, you're in for a treat, because I'll be going a complete disassembly. We're talking removing a lot of stuff off of this. So first thing you do is turn the bolt back, pull the trigger, and take the bolt out. Simple enough. You'll notice a flat head right here, and you start by taking that one off. Alright, there's that, and that is nice and nasty coated. Let me get something to put all this hardware in, actually. Magic! Alright, now you flip it over to the other side. You got another flat head right here, which you can see. And now you can actually pull this out, magazine box. And you can see there's not really too much pitting on this, there's just a lot of cosmoline all over it. So we'll clean that up here in just a second. And come over here to the bayonet. Open her up. Press these little spring retentions in there, and you can start to take these rings off. You can probably hear my dogs out there talking to the neighbor dogs. For some reason they always yell at each other. But there's the other ring. Top wood cover comes off, and it does not appear to be cracked, so that's going to be good as far as refinishing this goes. And you be careful with these if you guys aren't familiar with them, is they actually can fracture pretty easily if you happen to have squeezed them you know, side to side. So now we should be able to take the barrel and receiver portion out of the wood stock, just like so. And that's what you got. And you notice on the top side here there's some pitting and rust and stuff like that, which I'm not too worried about. It's actually under the receiver and it doesn't seem to be too deep. But we'll get all that nice and cleaned off, and should be looking pretty in no time. You can see there's a little more right there, so not too bad. Alright, we'll come over here to the buttstock You got another flathead on the bottom side here, and then one up top. That's it. Come over here and we can take the, I think it's called the cross bolt. I can't remember. But if you don't have the tool, this can usually be done by, you can see the two holes there. And if you just turn it just like that, usually using a point, not a flathead, would be easier, but you can see I just kind of scratched the wood right there, which I'm not too worried about. I'm going to be redoing this anyway, so you see, it's kind of like dialing an old rotary telephone. Alright, that comes right off, and then if you can't, just take it and push it out of there. See, it's coming out the other side there. There you go. And there is no real top side to this, as long as this cut portion is facing forward. So, pretty simple. Now we come over here to the, this is tricky. You don't want to be really careful with these little springs here. Is if you pry too much of an angle with these, you can actually break the pin that's holding them in, which we're going to try not to do. But I do have some backup ones just in case they do break. I got a little bit of a smaller tool now. Actually a punch. All I'm going to do is wiggle this side to side while pulling up on it. It should start to work its way out. There you go. I see it coming out of there. Now I can get underneath it, pry up on it a little better. There you go. Same thing for the other side. Alright. There it goes. Just like that. Okay, as for these right here are a lot more tricky to take off, and so I'm actually not going for those, but usually if you want to do those, if you want to try it, you can look up inside of there and the metal is actually just bent straight into the wood. So what you would have to do is pry that out. But as far as the cap goes here, just takes a standard screwdriver on this Type 53. Some of them have pins in them, which you'll have to use to take them off, but see, it just comes right off, just like that. So that's pretty much the extent of what I'm down to right here on this one. And for these, also these are pressed in too, so you're going to have a hard time trying to get those off of there. These metal caps, they're actually punched into the wood and become really dangerous to try to get those off as far as damaging your top wood goes. So I'm not going to attempt that one either. Up next, take the bolt down. Alright, to disassemble the bolt here, you just grab onto the knob and back here, rotate slight left, and then your pin and everything, or I'm sorry, your, not all the way left. You'll find it locked there. This comes right off, and as well as your guide rod, I believe it's called, comes right out. To remove your pin, and as you can see, there's definitely some cosmoline junk on there that needs to be removed. To remove your pin, if you have a Mosin multi-tool, you can see the shape of this, but your Mosin multi-tool slides right on there, and you just rotate it left to pull it out. In my case, I'll be using pliers, or vice grips, because I don't have that tool, and lock it on. Oops. And just rotate it out, just like so. But be careful when you do this, because it is spring loaded, so it will pop out, but not with crazy force or anything, but you'll see. There it goes. And you see the back safety piece pops off, spring and firing pin, and you can see this definitely needs some cleaning. So now that we got it all disassembled, we'll start the mineral spirits soak in here and get it all nice and cleaned off. And this is simple enough. Like I said, I'm using odorless mineral spirits, and this will help to break down the greased cosmoline that's in there, and it's gonna get this all nice and cleaned off. And I got all my bolts and screws and everything inside of there. Just dump some in there. Get the bolt, and it's usually a good idea to wear gloves with this, but I forgot to get my gloves, so I'm just running with this. And get the firing pin all nice and soaked. Just dump it on there. Don't be shy with it. Just give it a bath. Be sure to lift your rear side up. Get everything inside of there. Go ahead and dump it into the barrel as well. And then just let it soak. And real quick on the bayonet too, before I forget. All that takes is just a screw up top here, flathead as well. And it is also spring loaded, so just be careful when you're taking that one off. But you just take this flathead screw out here, and your bayonet comes right off, real simple. So the screw is under tension in there, like I said, due to the spring. So then just kind of pull it off of there. And make sure you soak inside of here too if you want this to be a nice smooth action when you're deploying it and storing it. So it is coated in cosmoline as well. Alright, so I've taken out the extractor here, and how I did that was I was going to take this screw out that's holding this bar in, but couldn't seem to get this to come out, so all I did was pry it up on it like this, and then push this out here and pulled it out. So you're going to get that nice and cleaned off. And then to take the trigger off, it's just this single screw here, flathead. So while all my other parts were soaking over there, I went ahead and took my bolt and I took it to the wire wheel here just to knock all the remaining rust off and everything like that, and I think it actually turned out pretty good. It doesn't look as bad as it was. I mean, there's still obviously the pitting and stuff like that right here, but I can get past that, and I'm actually gonna probably do the bent bolts, so that will definitely get rid of that. But got it all lubed up and put back together. If you need the instructions on how to put it back together, it's fairly simple. There's videos all over YouTube, but this is what I got so far. And we'll get to cleaning the rest of the parts. Alright guys, I just want to point out real quick, whenever you're cleaning this receiver here, is you want to take special consideration into cleaning the inside of the chamber here. Anything that's built up in there is what's going to cause your bolt to be sticky. And so I'll show you what I'm going to do here in just a second, but if you just get your Q-tip in there or wipe it down or whatever it is that you're using, is to get that stuff out of there. As well as in the trigger area right here, is to make sure you wipe off anything that you see that's hanging around in there. and in this area here as well. So get everything out of there. Don't leave any kind of remnants of cosmoline or anything like that left in there, because it will affect how smoothly your rifle operates. So I just want to point that out. Alright guys, so what I've done here is attached a cleaning rod with a brush onto it, onto my drill gun here, and I'm just going to run this through the chamber area to kind of clean it out, just like that, and then down into the bore and through the barrel, just to get everything out of there and knocked out, and so that everything functions nice and smoothly. So here we go. Now that you can see, after I've done that with that brush there with the screw gun, I've knocked loose a bunch of stuff inside of the chamber here. You want to get that all nice and cleaned out. It's a really good idea, like I said, to do this because the cosmoline just gets built up in there along with rust and anything else that makes its way in there, and you want to get all that stuff out of there, because that's what's going to contribute to a lot of that sticky bolt syndrome. So take special note to that. Alright, I wish I would have shown you guys just how bad that chamber area was when I first started this, but you can kind of see now. That's pretty much how it should look. It is nice and clean, nothing sticking out, no cosmoline sticking around, none of that stuff. So if you can get it looking similar to that, that's where you want to be at. Don't want to have anything left inside of there. Well, it's pretty much safe to say that I've taken the wire wheel to almost every piece of metal on this thing, and I think it's turned out pretty good. So we're just going to leave it at that. I just wanted to knock off the majority of the rust that's built up onto there. There's obviously still some pitting here, but this is all under the wood, and I don't mind that at all. It's still it's actually not too deep at all. It's still safe to shoot. So this is pretty good, and we're going to go ahead and assemble it all back together and see how much better it functions as far as the action goes. One thing to point out with this mineral spirits that I've used on here is it does a great job at breaking down that cosmoline and drying it out, but as you can see, it really dries the hell out of everything here. So what you're going to want to do is lube up all the moving parts on here, and on all of the rifle. Anything that moves or contacts or anything like that, you're going to want to put. Alright guys, so here it is, reassembled, just all the metal anyway. Like I said, I pretty much took everything that's metal on here and drug it on the grinding wheel, on the wire wheel. So got rid of all that rust that was sitting on there, and I think it looks pretty good so far. I think it's going to be pretty promising for whenever I get to working on the wood over there. This is going to look really nice whenever I get done. So anyway, thanks for checking out the video, guys, and I will update here as soon as I get to working on it again. Unfortunately, right now I've just run out of time, and I got to get ready to go to work. So until my next day off, or until I get a chance to do this, I will catch you guys next time. See ya.